A new dawn is before us, a change in the horizon, an evolution from an agrarian state to an industrial hub in the Northeast region. The transformation under the leadership of Governor Inuwa Yahaya is silently changing the landscape of Gombe, building critical infrastructure, creating access, and ensuring adequate security to foster an enabling environment for commerce, industry, and tourism that would drive the state towards development. As a financial expert, he laid the foundations of good governance with planning and prudent management of resources.
Providing security, providing good road networks, providing the economic environment on which commerce and activity can thrive, and providing the investment scenario that can attract investors to come and showcase their businesses. But above all, providing security. So security and all the other factors of production joined together facilitated us getting to that position.
From designing and implementing a 10-year development plan to setting up a robust healthcare system that is both accessible and affordable to residents in every part of the state. A modern road network that spans the entire state. A project to construct at least 100 kilometers of roads in each local government area to accelerate development.
We did that in order to align, first with our developmental needs, and secondly, align with the United Nations development goals, with a view to attaining all the sustainable development goals by the year 2030.
There were reforms in financial management where we were able to block leakages, where we were able to begin the implementation of the TSA, and where we improved our budgeting systems and ensured probity in the system. After that, we found out, okay, we needed to take it further. That was when we developed the plan, the development plan, the 10-year development plan, which is now guiding our activities as a government.
As you recall, last year, His Excellency launched the 10-year development plan called Devago. And within it, there are 5 pillars. And one of the critical pillars is the economic development pillar. And within that pillar, you have industrialization, you have innovation, you have ICT, you have other things.
Hospitality in Gombe is booming, aided by adequate infrastructure, a thriving nightlife, and a friendly populace. Gombe is an agrarian state with quality produce rated better than most in the country. With such favorable disposition, raw materials for industry abound. Hence, small businesses began to thrive until the state earned the first position in the Ease of Doing Business by the Presidential Enabling Business Environment Council.
Of the rating that they had for the Ease of Doing Business from PEBEC, you look at the different components that allowed the state to score an average of 7.26 out of 10. And in all of the factors and filters that PEBEC used, it was a number of SMEs that were interviewed. So this is really the same SMEs that are in other states are the same as the ones in Gombe. They have the same kind of environment, the same kind of challenges, but their responses to the same questions came out different. And that's what led to the #1 rating.
With rich soil, investor-friendly government policies, and a willing labor force, an investor in the agro-allied value chain can be assured of steady supply of quality raw materials.
The government has deliberately made efforts to ensure that agriculture thrives by providing all farm inputs, fertilizer, and water fuel. So that means our people will grow, the farmers, and there will be ready market for the industries, for their produce, and also industry will have raw materials available.
For us as a government, we want to open up the space because Gombe has come of age. We have been able to provide infrastructure, the security, and the enabling environment for businesses to thrive. The next is to ensure that these businesses come into Gombe and also help build our own economy.
Another asset to the growing profile of Gombe State in agriculture is the 146,000-hectare Wawa-Zenge Grazing Reserve that is touted to revolutionize the agro-allied industry and also provide a rich supply for the livestock value chain.
Forest reserves provide an opportunity to provide a carbon sink for the state. And those assets represent about 1,700 square kilometers, which are the equivalent of over 170,000 hectares, which can translate to as much as 1.1 million CO2 tons per annum for the state, which is worth about $10 million to $11 million.
Perhaps the top jewel is the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park, a major project and milestone in the ambitious plan of Governor Inuwa Yahaya to transform Gombe State from being a net consumer into a net producer.
The governor's vision and commitment to industrialization is one of the reasons why there's already the Gombe State Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park, which we are working on ensuring that as many investors as possible take advantage of. There's innovation and the different areas as well.
With a dedicated 1,000 hectares of land, infrastructure, and easy access to road, air, and rail transportation, the industrial park is a true investor's haven.
We've divided the Muhammadu Buhari Industrial Park into 3 phases. The first phase is 364 hectares, which is being done now. It has reached 85% completion. And our plan is that by December, it would have been completed, 100%. And the second phase is where we have already been talking and we've reached a very far distance with the Ministry of Finance and the Federal Ministry of Agriculture with a view to making it an agricultural hub.
So far, the state government have invested a lot of money in billions to bring back the issue of the industrial park. This is, I believe, a platform that investors are going to take into consideration to look at that. So this investment summit, I think, is an eye-opener that people can be able to see what we have on ground, what we can be able to offer to not only within Nigeria, but even outside the country.
Also, the industrial park's proximity to the 40-megawatt Datinkowa hydroelectric power plant would ensure an adequate supply of electricity and water. The governor has allocated 250 hectares. Another project in the offing within the area is the Niger Delta Power Holdings 250 megawatts of electricity.
Niger Delta power plants, especially those that are gas-based in the south, are not doing enough. So in a bid to cover that gap, they approached states like Gombe and some other states, and we've already given the land close equally to the industrial park. Their mission is to produce 250 megawatts. So 250 plus what is already available in terms of the hydro that is available, we'll be talking about 300 megawatts available right at the doorstep of industries that are operating in Gombe.
It has already received 269 applications from investors willing to set up businesses in Gombe.
Well, we are looking at investors that will be focused on taking advantage of areas where we have comparative advantage: agriculture, hospitality, biotechnology, industry, and livestock.
At a time of widespread security challenges around Nigeria, Gombe State remains an oasis of peace, rated as having the least reported number of violent crimes in the first and second quarters of 2022 in the whole federation by the ION's Intelligence National Security Tracker.
You will recall that only recently we had a peace and security summit. Without peace and security, economic activity cannot thrive. We did so that we beef off, knowing fully well that Gombe is really a secure state in so many ways. But we feel we need to ginger our people, let them know their responsibilities, and let them stand firm in order to ensure security. And it's only when there is security that every other development can take place.
The Inspector General of Police also attested to the peace and security of Gombe State.
Although Gombe State is one of the states in the Federation with the least incidences of violent crime, the dynamic nature of crime makes it imperative that we continue to partner in evolving strategies that will constantly place us above the criminal elements.
We are in a situation whereby we can beat our chest in Gombe State. I say we find ourselves in the middle, whereby so far so good, God has helped us to all those security challenges. We don't have it in Gombe State.
Truly, new dawn for the enterprising people in Gombe State. A new beginning of boundless opportunities and shared prosperity.
You know, you come into the state, you set up a business, you employ, and the state makes sure that it gives you incentives around capacity building, incentives around, taxes. The taxes will also have an impact when you do specific things. So for example, if you come to Gombe State and the number of staff or human capital you have has a higher amount of Gombe State indigenes, there are specific incentives towards that. There are incentives towards research and development. So all those things are where Gombe is focused on.
Gombe State is quite a unique state in the north in two respects. Gombe State has a lot of large, fertile, arable and grazing land, but more importantly, it has a governor who understands business, particularly the private sector. He's created an enabling environment that makes it easy for investors who want to invest in Gombe.
Bringing to reality the potential of the jewel in the savannah.
We have in the journey, it started with the needs assessment, the development plan, and now strategies that will ensure that we meet the goals captured inside the plan is why we're holding the summit. Not to strategize, but to attract investments, as one is very much aware that the goals contained inside the plan are linked to the Sustainable Development Goals, in alignment with the Sustainable Development Goals.
So what they've done is to look at different gaps within the different sectors in the state where there are really areas that they need to improve on, and see how they can bring in private sector to close those gaps. The private sector, as we all know, has the capacity to close gaps by bringing in business, bringing in employment in specific sectors, and push back the involvement of government in private sector activities.
What we are doing is to trigger activity around the 22 million people that are in the northeast region, and equally on the fringes or even the main hinterlands of some other countries that surround us.
We say to our investors, welcome. Gombe is ready for business.
On behalf of the good people of Gombe State, I welcome investors, both local, national, and international, to participate in this summit so that they will reach to us, will open our door, and Gombe is ready for business. We are ready to talk, we are ready to dialogue so that we can advance the cause of business in the state and Nigeria at large.